People carried hundreds of the sick and paralyzed into the streets, just so that the mere shadow of the Apostle Peter might fall on them, bringing instant healing to their bodies. Yet, it is hard to believe that just a few weeks prior, this exact same leader was hiding in panic by a stranger's fire, shouting,
"I do not know the man!"
swearing under oath that he had never even seen his closest friend, who at that very moment was being led away to face death. He was a man who had just 3 times denied his master. A broken disciple, weeping bitterly in the darkness of the night, consumed by a shame that told him he had ruined everything. How did someone who fell to the absolute bottom become a man whose shadow made hell tremble? It all began on a cold night, at the crow of a rooster. It was the darkest night in human history. In the Garden of Gethsemane, a massive crowd appeared, carrying torches, swords, and clubs. Jesus of Nazareth was arrested. All the disciples scattered into the darkness in utter panic, fleeing for their lives. But Peter decided to follow the guards. Yet, he followed from a distance. He managed to slip into the courtyard of the high priest, where the religious leaders were already staging a sham trial. The night was biting cold, and in the middle of the courtyard, the servants and guards had lit a large charcoal fire. Peter walked up and sat among them, trying to blend into the crowd while warming his hands by the flames. Suddenly, a servant girl stares intently at him in the reflection of the firelight and says,
"This man was also with him."
The atmosphere instantly turns dangerous, and the guards turn their eyes toward him. Peter panics and snaps.
"I do not know the man!"
He tries to move closer to the exit, hoping to disappear into the shadows. But a few moments later, someone else spots him and says,
"You also are one of them."
Peter defends himself even louder.
"Man, I am not!"
The tension builds as more hostile eyes lock onto him. About an hour passes. Peter is still trapped, unable to escape. Then another man insists with absolute certainty, pointing at him.
"Surely this fellow also was with him, for he is a Galilean!"
He was given away by his rough northern accent, which instantly exposed him as an outsider. Cornered and desperate, Peter begins to curse and swear.
"Man, I do not know what you are talking about!"
And immediately, while the words were still on his lips, a sharp echoing sound pierced the night silence. A rooster crowed. At that exact second, Jesus was being led across the courtyard, under guard. He turned and looked straight at Peter. In that single moment, Peter remembered the prophecy Jesus had spoken to him at supper. "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." Peter rushed out of the courtyard into the black night and wept bitterly. The man who just hours before was ready to fight with a sword for Christ had completely broken down. He was certain his story was over and that his sin had forever shut the door to God's plan. Days passed. Jesus rose from the dead and appeared to his disciples, but Peter still carried the heavy weight of his shame. Every time he looked at the Master, he remembered his failure. Trying to run from his thoughts, he decides to go back to his old life, to the hard labor on the sea. He tells the others, "I am going fishing." They get into the boats and set sail, but the night brings nothing but disappointment. After long hours of exhausting work, they caught absolutely nothing. The empty nets were a perfect reflection of the emptiness inside Peter's soul. As dawn began to break, a silhouette appeared on the misty shore. The man calls out to them across the water.
"Children, have you any food?"
They answered him.
"No!"
Then he says,
Cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some.
They cast the net, and suddenly it fills with such a massive quantity of large fish that they can no longer draw it into the boat. They can barely hold on to the catch. 153 large fish. John instantly recognizes this miracle, because 3 years ago, their calling had started in the exact same way. He turns to Peter and says,
"It is the Lord."
Hearing these words, Peter cannot wait another second. He leaps into the cold waves and swims with all his might toward the shore, leaving the boat and the fish behind for the other disciples. When he steps onto dry land, he sees a charcoal fire burning, with fish cooking on it, and bread. The distinct smell of that smoke instantly took everyone back to that terrifying night in the high priest's courtyard. But this fire was built not for judgment, but for restoration. When they finished breakfast, Jesus breaks the silence. He looks straight at Peter and asks,
"Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me more than these?"
Peter answers.
"Yes, Lord, you know that I love you."
Jesus says to him,
"Feed my lambs."
A second time, Jesus asks the exact same thing.
"Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me?"
Yes, Lord, you know that I love you.
Jesus says to him,
Tend my sheep.
and then comes the third strike.
"Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me?"
Peter was grieved because he asked him a third time. The 3 questions became a direct response to his 3 denials by that night fire. Jesus forced him to face that memory, to completely heal his broken heart. Peter answers from the very depths of his brokenness.
Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you.
Jesus demands no apologies, no legal explanations, and no promises never to fall again. He simply says,
"Feed my sheep. Follow me."
With these words, Christ fully restored Peter, returned the leader to his calling, and entrusted his future church to a man who knew what it felt like to completely fall. A few weeks passed. The fearful fisherman who used to hide in the dark was gone forever. The day of Pentecost arrived. Filled with the Holy Spirit, Peter is the very first to step forward before a massive, multi-thousand crowd right in the center of Jerusalem, the city where Jesus had recently been crucified. He no longer hides his face, and he no longer fears arrest. Peter raises his voice and preaches the gospel with such power and boldness that the religious elite stands frozen in shock. That day, after his very first sermon, 3,000 people were baptized. From that moment on, an incredible awakening swept through the church. Peter walked through the streets, and people from all the surrounding towns carried the sick and paralyzed out on beds and mats, lining them up along the roads. They desired only one thing, that at least Peter's shadow might fall on them, and the Lord performed wondrous healings. Consider this massive contrast. In the high priest's courtyard, Peter trembled at the shadow of his past, terrified of a single servant girl's accusation in the dark. Now, Peter no longer feared the darkness. The darkness retreated wherever the Lord moved through him in the light of the sun. The power in Peter's shadow did not appear because he became flawless or superior. It appeared because he was a man who had been completely broken, emptied of his pride, and then put back together by God's radical grace. His shadow was a living testimony of a second chance. When people looked at him, they didn't see a sinless saint. They saw a forgiven fisherman whom God had lifted from the ashes. Peter's story proves one fundamental truth. Your mistake is never the final chapter in God's book. Our God is a God of second chances. He is not looking for perfect, strong, or flawless people, because those people simply do not exist. He intentionally uses broken vessels so that his light can shine brighter through the cracks. Peter came to that fire on the shore thinking he had permanently ruined his life and calling. But he walked away, knowing that God's grace is always greater than our greatest sin. Your fall does not define your destiny if you are willing to return to Christ. If today you feel like you are standing by the fire of your own failure, remember, Christ knows how to light another fire, not for condemnation, but for restoration. Have you ever felt like Peter, trapped in guilt and shame after making a mistake? Let me know in the comments below. Your story might just be the light someone else needs in their darkness right now. If this video spoke to your heart, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.